the strongest security in life comes from knowing that we're doing all that we can do to become the best versions of ourselves possible. There really are things that are beyond our control. But if you know that you're doing all that you can do to propel yourself forward, right, to be the best version of yourself that you can be, that's where all the security will come from. And you won't have to look outside of yourself to feel a certain sense of security. Self-development has been and always will be the best investment that you can make, because if you equip yourself with a certain set of skills, those skills can translate into so many different areas of life, and you're no longer seeking validation because there's a certain level of quiet confidence that you embody because you know what you've been through, you know the time that you've put in, you know the amount of dollars that you've invested into yourself, you know the environments that you've put yourself in, you know the people that you've cut off, right? You know all the distractions that you've eliminated. So how can you not feel a sense of security at this point? You know, there was another quote that I heard recently by Alex Hermosi. He was with Jay Shetty, and he asked him like what the best advice was that he had ever heard, and he was like, I'm paraphrasing, but it was do so much work that it would be unreasonable for you not to be successful, right? And the way that you can translate that is into like so many different ways, because work can mean, you know, like external labor, like working on your business, sitting in front of a screen, doing what it is that you got to do. Work can also be described as going to the gym, working on your health, or, you know, doing research on the type of foods that you should be consuming and the type of foods that you shouldn't be consuming, or internal work, right? Making the time to, you know, come into nature, identify what it is that you actually want, and taking the necessary steps with your newfound clarity of where it is that you're actually trying to go. Because man, like a lot of us, we're so unclear on our own goals. We tell ourselves that we want certain things, but we don't actually want those things. I think a lot of us tell ourselves that we want, you know, certain experiences because we see, you know, maybe people that we grew up with or went to school with that are experiencing certain things. So we figure like, yo, like I should get that too. We don't actually have clarity within our own desires. Internal work as well. Making the time to like really just disconnect and like understand yourself. Get more familiar with where it is that you're actually trying to go and the reasoning behind it. Is it solely ego based? Is it just, you know, to get certain validation from people outside of yourself? You want like to feel respected? Or is it to feel a certain sense of wealth inside of yourself, right? Like, and I'm not just alluding to, you know, finances, because they always say like being rich is what you see and being wealthy is what you don't see. There are people who have a lot of money, but they don't feel a certain sense of, you know, purpose and fulfillment. Whereas people who are wealthy, you know, have their finances in order and they have their finances taken care of. They wake up every day loving what they do. And I think that is where true happiness and fulfillment and purpose lies, is just enjoying what you get to do every single day. Self-development will always be the best investment that you can make in yourself. And that's why I always encourage, you know, seeking a mentor of some kind. And they don't have to be a mentor that's like years and years ahead of you. They could just be like, you know, just a few steps ahead, but there's still so much that they have to offer. And just being around that energy is, you know, it's going to be so infectious that it will rub off on you. But again, when we talk about spending versus investments, investing your time, investing your efforts and your attention into finding ways to be around the right people that will rub off on you, right? But a lot of us were born and conditioned into this mindset of scarcity where we don't actually understand the difference between spending and investing. You know, a lot of us are very frugal, and, you know, of course, saving, I think it is very important. And again, man, Alex Hermosi, you know, he's always dropping the gems, but he had one quote, again, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of saving won't actually make you rich, but what saving will allow you to do is take more risk. Within that is when you can achieve greater success, right? So if you have a greater cushion to lean on, the risk isn't as heavy. You know what I'm saying? But in order to get to the next level, you have to take some chance. You have to be able to make investments. And investing in yourself is, hands down, will always be the best decision. Because in developing your character, it's not just a transactional exchange. Say like, you know, like I go to the barbershop, I pay the bro, he cuts my hair, that's done. You know, like I got my hair cut, feeling nice, I don't have to come back next time. Or I buy a pair of sneakers, I get the pair of shoes, awesome, feeling cool. You know, I'm gonna get over it eventually. Like it's not gonna feel so, you know, exciting as it did on the first day I got them, lace them up, whatever it is. But when you invest in yourself, you invest in your personal growth and your personal development. And again, like I listed them off, but there are so many ways that you can do this, whether it be a health coach, right? A fitness coach, a relationship coach, starting your new business, you know, creating new meal plans, whatever it is, making those investments. It goes far beyond that one instance. And it's an analogy that has really been brought to surface, right? Like, I'm a pretty, I wouldn't say restrictive eater. I am very particular about the food that I put into my body. And a lot of times, like when I'm eating around friends and family, it's like, yo, you want to try this? I'm like, nah, like I'm good on that. And they're like, bro, like you can just see the dopamine just coming out of their, right, out of their minds. They're just like, oh, like just so taken by like what it is that they're having, whether it be like a dessert, like cake or whatever. And the reason that it's so easy for me to turn down certain foods or whatever it is because I understand that what I will feel afterwards far outweighs what I will taste in the moment. I hope you really understand what I just said. I understand that the feeling has greater weight to it than the temporary like dopamine that you get from the taste in the moment. So just going back to the analogy that I was just giving as far as investing in self-development versus, like buying like some new clothes or whatever it is. Although in the moment making the investment for your personal growth may not be as like gratifying or as exciting as getting something that will give you some instant gratification, the effects of that investment will last way longer and it'll go far beyond just that initial day when you made that purchase. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Just making the correlation back to the food analogy that I gave. Although I'm sacrificing some cake that's going to taste like super amazing today and I might feel like I'm like missing out or whatever, I'm going to feel amazing tomorrow and I feel like I'm going to look a lot better tomorrow. And as a result, because I like what I see, I'm just that feeling of pride and happiness. I have now prolonged that feeling. I've now extended that feeling. Whereas had I had the cake or the dessert that I know is loaded with, a bunch of garbage in that moment, it would just be for the moment. So I really encourage you, man, really find ways to continue to invest in yourself. I know when we use the term investment, it's very natural to associate investment with money, right? And investing money. There are other ways to make investments too. Like you can invest your time as well, right? It's not just a matter of using dollars, but you can invest your time as well. Your attention, where it is that you put your focus, the things that you consume, all these little things contribute to what is an investment. So don't get it twisted, man. It's not just about like investing money. That is a form of investing, but it's not the only form of investing. But I truly do believe like that is where so much confidence comes from, is in knowing that we are truly giving all that we can to be the best versions of ourselves. So much so that, if things don't unfold in the way that we want them to, you can be at peace because like deep down within yourself, you've done everything that you could. You've practiced a strong positive attitude. You've put yourself in the right environments. You've always attributed a certain amount of attention to your health, your wellness, your well-being. How can you not feel a sense of security at this point? It's quite impossible. But again, I think it's super important that we understand the motives behind developing ourselves and gaining clarity on what those motives are. Because in a lot of cases, like personally, like I love going to the gym because of how it makes me feel. I feel more confident. I feel stronger. You know what I'm saying? And it's not for anybody but me, because I understand what that feeling does for myself and how I can attribute that energy into other areas of my life. Whereas, a lot of people may go to the gym, but their motive is different. Maybe it's to have a certain aesthetic, to look a certain way. But when I say that self-development is the strongest investment that you could ever make, because it will make you feel that sense of security. It's internal security where you don't need anything outside of yourself to happen, because you understand that you have done everything in your power to get there, and you've cultivated a plan that will allow you to get there. So the way that you feel isn't dependent on anything that's happening outside of yourself, because you don't feel a sense of lack, and you've been able to produce this sense of joy that isn't dependent on external circumstances. You get what I mean? In this state of security, true security within yourself is when you become magnetic, right? And that's why you don't have to trip about when things are going to happen, who's going to be attracted to you, where they're going to come from, right? All these little details, like when is it going to happen, right? You're not concerned with any of that, because those are things beyond your control, and you realize that on the deepest level, right? So continue to find ways to invest in yourself. Find communities. I think now is the easiest time, for us to be able to find like-minded people. Online communities have never been so accessible before. They're so niche as well. Like you can find such niche communities, of such specific groups of people who think like you and who have similar goals as you. And the best part is too, like online communities, man, like have never been more affordable too, where you can get the community support as well as the information. We just have so many resources that are available at our discretion. It's just a matter of like how we leverage them. I know a lot of us haven't been given tools and guides, but it's just a matter of getting out there and again, investing in yourself in the best way possible, in the best way that you know how. And that doesn't just refer to money, but just in your efforts, in the way that you research, in the way that you nurture yourself. Continue to live in the state of gratitude. And I don't doubt that everything will unfold in the way that it's supposed to, because you're more powerful than you're aware of. It's just a matter of continuing to become more familiar with the tools that you have and finding joy in this process. I know it can come off as cliche, you know, the whole saying of it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, but finding your own meaning behind that statement and associating, you know, your own beliefs behind it. I think there's just so much power in that. So sending y'all so much love, man. So much positive energy. I hope you have an amazing week, amazing weekend, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's KT.